Hello and welcome back to another video, and today we are again going to be looking at Nebius stock. So as I updated last week, I've started the new YouTube portfolio, and for the first time I purchased Nebius stock inside this new portfolio. So as we can see here, first purchase is made inside this portfolio a few days ago. I've bought 2 Nebius shares. I've actually purchased Nebius around mid last year. I did my first purchases in the $40 to $50 mark. My average is probably around $55. And that's in my other portfolio. But inside this one, I just wanted to get a part of it inside this portfolio. And when it was around that $100 mark, that's when I decided to pull the trigger. What I wanted to go into is last week we had some good news that Clickhouse, which is a company that Nebius owns quite a big stake in, just did some more fundraising, and that put their valuation at 15 billion, which meant that Nebius's ownership in that stock went up a lot more as well. And that's why I wanted to go into today. Okay, what companies does Nebius own? Because it's actually got its part in quite a few companies. That comes from basically its previous setup and the investments it has made and the other companies that it made during that. So what we're going to do is go into, okay, what other companies are involved in Nebius, how much those companies are valued at, what Nebius's stakes are valued at, and then also what we can be looking into for the future of this. So first of all, let's jump into Nebius on its own. What is Nebius? So we know this is an AI first infrastructure kind of cloud service. So this is focused on providing GPU compute, AI cloud services, and developer infrastructure. So it's not just so much renting out data center space, which some other people do, but it is actually helping companies run that and process their AI services on there as well. We know they've got lots of big customers. They're working with Microsoft with a huge deal. They're working with Meta, which is another huge deal, but they're also working with a lot of smaller AI companies as well, which use Nebius as kind of their core infrastructure to build on. So again, AI startups, training, foundation, applied models, also European enterprises. So Nebius is actually a European-based company. There are so many rules on data regulation and privacy inside Europe, and Nebius can help with that. And of course, the hyperscalers that we spoke about before. So let's look into what's actually involved in their company and what other areas they own. And number one, as I mentioned, is Clickhouse. So let's jump into Clickhouse first. So Clickhouse here, we've got an overview, is a fast open source real-time analytics database and data warehouse. It's used to provide low latency SQL queries on massive data sets. So it's basically about providing, allowing people to process lots and lots of data and queries at a fast pace. And this is of course crucial for AI workloads. Have a look at some of the customers that are working with Clickhouse. It's Meta, Tesla, Sony, Cursor, Capital One, and lots more. This is a really solid company that people want to work with because it provides such a good service at scale. And then the valuation, as I mentioned, this has just had another valuation upgrade last week because it did another fundraising round. It's valued around $15 billion now. So Nebius in itself is valued at, I think it's probably just around $30 billion as we record this video. So Clickhouse is almost at 50% of just Nebius's valuation. And Nebius owns 28% of this company as well. So right now that puts how much they own in Clickhouse at 4.2 billion just on its own, not talking about Nebius's business. In Nebius's valuation, it's got 4.2 billion of Clickhouse already in there. So next, let's move on to, let me pull up the next slide. And this is, there we go, AVRide. So AVRide is a really exciting company. It is an autonomous driving platform for autonomous vehicles like cars, and also robots as well. This is going to be a super big narrative in this year. Well, it already has been a super big narrative about self-driving cars and self-driving delivery robots. As we can see here in the overview, AVRide develops autonomous driving technologies. They actually build the technology that then goes into other cars, including software for self-driving vehicles, delivery robots, and autonomy stacks. So what partnerships have they got? So we've got partnerships with Hyundai, for example. So AVRide software is actually going into Hyundai electric vehicles, and that's what is then going to be used as robo-taxis. And they're doing a lot of R&D on that at the moment. I believe they're already providing rides as well. Uber is also working with them on their technology. And then we've also got the likes of like Grubhub, which are using for last mile deliveries. They have these little robots going around some places in America right now, which are delivering food deliveries. They're these cool little robots that basically navigate themselves on the sidewalk. It's really, really cool technology. And this is built by Nebius, and it's pretty much owned by Nebius, which we'll get onto as well. So with these valuations that I'm talking about on these other companies, because they're privately owned, it is hard to get exact valuations. I've used AI, ChatGPT to try and give me some guidance on that. And I've also done some research myself, and there is quite a wide guidance, but what we're getting here is around 2.7 billion. Some have said a lot less than that. Some have said quite a bit more than that. What we do know is that Nebius owns about 83% of this company. So how much? It's a big controlling stake in this company. And when this company, as it starts executing, as it starts making more partnerships and doing more delivery miles, and that software becomes more and more valuable, so does AVRide become more valuable, and so does Nebius's stake in it. So at the moment, you could say that there's around 2.2 billion of valuation already built into Nebius just in AVRide. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So we go here. Next, we'll move on to Toloka. So let's put this one up here. Toloka is an interesting one. So this is a data labeling company. So when we're talking about kind of LLMs, computer vision, stuff like that, we need data labeling to basically teach these AI systems as they're going and help them find the right path and learn over time. Toloka is pretty interesting because last year it did actually get a good investment from Bezos Expeditions. So that's Jeff Bezos's investment arm. They put in around 300 to 400 million, I think. So that does show some sort of confidence in this company and show that it's kind of really doing stuff in the AI field that's very important. We know Jeff Bezos is kind of doing a lot of investments in AI. He himself sees it as a very, very big thing in the future. So it's kind of a good thing that he's investing in that. He's done his research, you would like to think. So who are these people working with? They're working with large AI labs and model developers. They're working with enterprises for training their own proprietary models, and also used historically for search engines, recommendation systems, and people building LLMs. The valuation on Toloka, again, it varies quite a lot, but what we've got here is around 1 to 2 billion valuation, and Nebius owns the majority of this. It owns a 65% stake in this. I believe it does not have kind of voting ownership in this company anymore from the research that I've been doing, but in terms of valuation and its actual physical ownership of the company, 65%. So again, we've got 0.65 to 1.3 billion worth of equity that Nebius owns just in Toloka on its own. Next, we'll move on to, what should we go through now? Okay, yeah. So we've got the last one of what we're going through today, which is TripleTen. And this basically is this is a much smaller business, but it does just highlight basically Nebius is kind of going around this whole AI ecosystem, a bit what NVIDIA is doing. They obviously make training chips, but they're also doing so many investments and purchases of other companies just in the whole AI system, the AI ecosystem, because they think it's going to be bigger in the future, and we all do as well. Nebius is already kind of doing that with these different subsidiaries that it's owning. So TripleTen is a much smaller company. I don't know how much this company actually means for the future of Nebius, but that being said, it is still valued at anything from what I'm seeing from, I've seen as low as 50 million up to a high as 300 million. The general take is 150 to 300 million. And this is about an online education platform, basically. So it's getting people to learn about data science, software engineering, and AI-related careers. So it's kind of a ground-up education system for getting people into AI and companies as well. So it's for individual learners, for hiring partnerships with tech companies, and also corporate upskilling. So if you have a big corporation, you want to upskill them and teach them more about AI, TripleTen is what you would look to. This is a company that is owned 100% by Nebius. So whatever that valuation is, it's owned 100% by Nebius. So that's a few hundred million if you was to take that valuation at the moment. What you also need to look into with stuff like this is maybe it's not going to be a huge part of Nebius's valuation in the end, but it does show all the different areas that the company is operating on. And you never know, this might be kind of a gateway into getting more customers. If they're starting to work with TripleTen and these customers are going up, then they actually want to use an AI cloud service. You've got to think that Nebius is the one that they're naturally going to be drawn towards. They're going to be using that inside their training. And it's just, again, it's more corporate partnerships that can be coming from this going into Nebius's core business. So this is an overview, basically, aside from, of course, Nebius's core business. This is all the other stuff that you're essentially getting for free when you're investing in Nebius. Nebius is doing great stuff and making huge billion-dollar partnerships, and we've got all the stuff that's actually going on in the background as well. So for having a look at this, and then with the Clickhouse deal that we got last week, and then the share price has been hovering around that $100 mark. It actually dropped a bit lower. That's what kind of made me say, okay, I need this in my portfolio now. If we just have a look, see what there we go. Let's just have a look at the share on the screen at the moment. Okay, so we're just looking at the live stock price now, and you can see it's hovering around. Yeah, it's at $108. We know that it's been down to around $80 in the past few weeks. In my other account, I did actually buy a bit around $80 and also bought a bit more around $90. But that's in my other portfolio, and I just wanted to start with this new YouTube portfolio. I need Nebius in there. So as I said, I've only started off buying a couple of shares. I'm going to gradually be scaling into this bit by bit. We're working with limited capital here. My idea is to see, okay, we're starting this portfolio at the start of the year. What can we get to by the end of the year? So I'm going to be drip feeding my money in there. And of course, valuations are very high at the moment, which is why I'm taking the choice at the moment to gradually scale into my positions. I'm not just going to be buying everything all at once. But in general, this is one of the names that I'm excited about for this year. As long as the macro environment holds up, I think Nebius is going to be executing very well this year. I think it's only got good things ahead in terms of partnerships. They're already selling out of all of their capacity. So it's something I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on. So I hope you found this video useful. Just going through the core parts is actually useful for me as well, just to go through these different companies that they own. If you did find it useful, please do let me know with a like, and let me know in the comments if there's any questions you have about Nebius or stuff you'd like me to look into, or alternatively, if there's any other stocks you're looking at the moment that might be good for me to research to go into this new portfolio. Apart from that, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video.